So Nero and Astraea had really similar results in the channel poll that I did over on my community tab, so I figured I might as well also go ahead and give Astraea a video because Astraea is actually really strong as well. I feel like she does deserve a video, so even if you're not going to poll specifically for her, if you do get her in the future, you can reference this video and be like, ah, yeah, she is pretty nutty. I mean, she's one of like the hardest hitting single target art servants in the game still to this day, has a really solid damage mod. There's like just a few things that I have issues with Astraea, but I even think those are kind of balanced out. You know what I'm saying? Like the one or two things that I think are a little bit weird or iffy, I think are kind of excusable with how good they just made her overall. I mean, when you make an art servant, which, you know, should not be able to really produce a lot of stars because they just fundamentally, that's not how the card works. It has a 0% chance of genning stars. When you take that and then you actually have an art servant that can do that, I mean, they're just naturally going to be really good. Go figure, you make a card do something it's not supposed to be able to do, and then it turns out being really pretty good. Yeah, I mean, go figure. But before we actually start diving into this video, if you have not already, make sure you leave a like on the video and you subscribe to the channel for that daily FGO content. Also, make sure you peep those links down in the description down below, namely that Twitch link where I stream every weekday at about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if I'm not going to stream that day because I'm sick or for whatever reason, right, maybe I got busy with something, you know, IRL related, you'll get a ping in my Discord. So don't worry, I'll let you know if something comes up on a day that I'm supposed to stream. But let's go ahead and start getting right into Astraea, starting off with her hits. And I actually like the way they kind of went with building Astraea's kit, because obviously you need to give her the double arts cards because she is an art servant and you want to be looping things around. And I like that they went that little bit of an extra mile because they were like, you know what, we're going to give her 0.43% NP gain. So let's give her really strong arts cards at 4 hits a pop, which is going to make those crit refunds really, really strong, especially when you're pairing with, like, say, Castoria, who can really shore up that lower NP gain because of her second skill, and also the 50% arts mana burst that she's going to be giving Astraea. And so then they kind of had a decision, do we give her double quick cards for star gen? Nah, we'll just make that something she just passively does with like the rest of her kit. So give her double buster cards so she can just smack people with a big crit. So I really like the way they kind of went about building it, because they were like, who cares about doing all that? Like she doesn't need to gen stars with her quick cards. Let her just smack people with the big bungus cards as she's just refunding her NP with big arts crits. So I do like how her kit is working from a fundamental level. Also, something that probably should be noted is the fact that she is a ruler class servant. Like, do not be deceived. I know I kind of talk a little bit about Shiro Amakusa, for instance, who is a ruler, and I feel like if he was just in a different class, like, he would really be insanely good and more people would be using him because his kit is so good. Astraea does not have that problem, and I think it's because she is a single target and they just gassed her up. They like put so much into her being able to do good damage even without her damage mods that you barely feel the fact that she is a ruler. And in fact, it only kind of is a positive thing because the damage is taken care of. Now she's just naturally bulky against like most bosses, right? As long as they're not like an Avenger or a Berserker, she's going to be absolutely fine just destroying them all over the place. And look, I know the meme is that anytime BB pops up, you know, we use Summer Martha to beat her up, right? But what about Astraea, bro? If Summer Martha is beating up BB, Astraea is straight up cooking her in the kitchen, all right? Like, she's demolishing BB anytime she shows up. On that note, though, let's go ahead and start diving into some of her skills, starting off with her first skill. So this one is actually kind of nice. It's very similar to how I was talking about Kukulkan and how she has a skill that's going to age very well with that targetable 50% battery. Astraea kind of has that nice little gimmick here as well, because you're probably just going to give it to yourself, right? You're just going to give her that 20% attack, defense, and NP gain, all for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. But in the future, if there's ever a setup where you're like, man, I just need a little bit of extra defense, or someone needs a little bit of extra NP gain, Astraea may or may not kind of find her places in there. Like, she might like wiggle her way into some weird team comps in the future, like 3 years from now, just because she has the ability to target people with just nice general buffs. Especially if, I don't know, in the future they buff like her second or third skill and make them more supportive skills as well. Like she gives the arts buff to everybody or something insane like that. It's just very nice, because right now if you're going to use her as the DPS, you're just getting a lot of good stuff, right? Solid attack buff, solid defense to make her even more bulky than she already is as a ruler. And then the extra NP gain was already really nice before Castoria came out because it was supposed to shore up her lower NP gain, but now you have this plus all the NP gain that Castoria is giving her, and it just makes her loop like an absolute dream. Like, Astraea is just one of those servants that feels really good to use. And yeah, this is just kind of setting her up with just generic good stuff that any arts DPS would want. Moving into the second skill, this is actually the one thing that I kind of have a bit of an issue with Astraea. So she's giving herself a 30% arts buff. That's good. Bombing 30 stars, that's insane. Again, arts cards have a value for genning stars of 0, so they're not supposed to be able to gen stars. And so the fact that she could just drop 30 crit stars like on a whim like this is very insane. The only thing I don't like is that the arts buff is for 1 turn, right? Because fights are getting longer and longer now in FGO, and so having these buffs last for longer would be more ideal. So getting this to be like 30% for 3 turns, for instance, would put it more along the lines of what the current meta is going for. But I guess I also have to keep in mind that they gave her a 10% arts buff on the passive, so really this is a 40% arts buff. It's almost like an arts mana burst, and maybe that's why they nerfed it to like 1 turn, but ultimately it really shouldn't matter that much, because keep in mind, Castoria exists, and you got 2 of them, they're going to give her 100% arts for 3 turns anyway, so she should be fine in this department. It's just one of those things that I'm like, oh, I wish they would kind of just knock it up a little bit, and then, I don't know, maybe throw in like a little bit of extra crit damage or something else, maybe another 10%, 20% battery for the whole party, who knows, something just a little bit extra like that. 10% for the whole party, fix up the arts thing, and then I literally have no issues with this Astraea at all whatsoever. But really, even then, like, can I call it an issue? It's just something that's like mildly annoying to me that they only made it 1 turn, but it's still good regardless, right? Because the turn that you get this, you're getting extra damage. You're going to be critting all over the place. Your NP gain for your NP and your arts cards are going to be just shot through the roof because you're getting that extra 30% NP gain on the arts card. So it's just very good in general. And also keep in mind that on that turn, these buffs are multiplying into each other. The attack buff on skill 1, the arts buff on skill 2, and she also has a damage mod on her NP. Also keep that in mind, so she could be triple buffing. But yeah, moving over to her third and final skill. This is like when they were playing around with demerits a little bit, and it's just really funny. It's so cute that they thought that this was a demerit at all. They were like, okay, for the cost of 5 stars, here's the skill you get. You get decent star weight, a 50% crit damage buff, same crit damage buff as Waver if you need a reference, and then you just get a 20% battery. I'm like, that's really cute that they thought that 5 stars was a cost at all when this servant already bombs 30 stars on her second skill and bombs stars on her NP as well. And then God forbid you give like one of your Castorias 2030 or your Tamamo 2030 or your Waver 2030, whoever. And then it's just like, this skill is always going to be up. I mean, it's going to be up always anyway, despite like any brave change that you're doing, because even just, for instance, like Astraea's extra attack, right, is going to gen more than 5 stars. And now this one you would expect me to complain about, right, because everything's for 1 turn, and I do like my 3-turn buffs, but where this is a little bit different is that this is on a 4-turn cooldown, so you're going to be able to burst this a little bit more. And if you want to use Tamamo, who, you know, I always say is like not to be counted out of the arts meta yet, she's still giving some very nice buffs, you know, with the drain, the NP damage that Castoria doesn't give, extra NP, HP, which Castoria also does not give, and then the skill cooldown reduction. You can actually burst this a lot, right? If you want to bring Tamamo to some more of your teams, or if for whatever reason, like Joan, who is supposed to come out in like a week from now, let's say she's like an art support that also takes that niche from Tamamo, maybe she'll be really crazy with that. It would make Astraea very good because you would just be able to like burst this every couple of turns and you'd barely feel that it's only on a 1-turn cooldown. But yeah, overall, all of her skills are just really nice. Like, she's just getting a little bit of everything at just kind of nice values, you know, stars for an art servant, a nice arts buff that's technically 40%, a little bit of a battery, some nice crit damage to take advantage of those stars, just generic good attack, defense, NP gain, just a lot of good stuff. I guess you could maybe criticize and say that she doesn't have any hardline survivability, like she doesn't have an invincibility or she doesn't have a dodge on one of her skills, but again, you're going to pair her with Castoria. Castoria can give her an invincibility and solemn defense, and she's a ruler, which is already a naturally tanky class, plus she has a defensive skill, right? So not only is she like naturally bulky, but she gets even more bulk on top of all of that. But then if all of that just wasn't good enough, she has just a really strong NP. Like, it does really good damage. It pierces invincibility on the NP procs first, so that's always really, really nice. So basically, no enemy that has like dodge or invincibility is going to be able to get around just getting smacked by the mighty hammer of justice. Then it's also bombing 20 stars just in case, you know, you're low on stars. Those 30 wasn't enough for you. Bam, drop some 20. Funny enough, if you want to like fire the NP first and on the next turn, fire the second skill, automatic 50 stars. Everybody's critting that turn. That's just fun stuff you can do. But then again, you might be genning stars with like 20, 30 and other random stuff. Maybe you threw command codes on your Astraea for even more stars. You know, I heard you like stars, so I gave you stars on top of your stars. But then they also just gave her a special damage mod against evil alignment enemy. Like nothing specific like chaotic evil or lawful evil, just everyone that's evil. You know, if you're chaotic evil, you're getting smacked. Lawful evil, smacked. Neutral evil, smacked. All these people just getting smacked up by Astraea because her damage is already good. Like, I can't stress that enough. She already does really good damage. She's like the third highest damaging single target arts NP before like any buffs or anything. And then they're just like, yeah, pierce invincibility, anti-evil, just smack them for even more damage. And so while yes, you know, she's on rate up right now, Astraea is really, really strong, I don't think she's worth rolling for. As I said towards the beginning of this video, I think this is more of just a guide that if you stumble across getting Astraea during one of your pulls, maybe she's on rate up, maybe she just randomly comes to your Chaldea or something, right? You can always reference this video and you're just like, dang, she's pretty good. Like, God forbid you start getting extra copies of her, right? Because we're talking about like NP1 already looking really strong. If you've got her like NP2 or 3, shut it down, bro, because you're going to just start obliterating everybody in your path. And I'm sure people in the comments can attest that this servant, again, just feels really nice to use because she's just got a lot of good stuff going on for her, covers all of her bases, and she synergizes really well with Castoria because the few things that she's lacking, like say a 3-turn arts buff or actual hardline survivability, she gets those directly from Castoria, right? She covers those bases, and she gets like more battery, extra NP gain, all that good broken stuff that Castoria does. So look, if you have Astraea sitting in your box, level her up. If you pull Astraea, level her up. Trust me, she's not gonna like let you down. She's very, very good. But with all that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. Peace late, guys.